Hey everybody, Adam from Atlas Gunworks. I'm going to quickly show you how to install an X-Line trigger in your Prodigy. Every gun's different, so this video is specific to the Prodigy. Keep that in mind. We'd want to change the trigger for a handful of reasons, but color, shape, and adjustability are the main reasons. Factory trigger, there's really nothing wrong with it. When I take it out, the one thing I want to do is take a look at to where this is in relationship to the back of the gun. And so I'm probably 50 thou past this ledge here. And then when I put the new one in, I'm gonna reference that later and make sure that they're relatively close in length. A big gap change in length is going to affect our trigger performance and basically affect the ignition system. So X-Line triggers are super adjustable. They're on a threaded post, so we can adjust the length. Every turn's about 15 thou in or out of length pull. Keep in mind that the front of this may protrude if you have it all the way back, and you don't need to, but you're welcome to trim that back. We would just do it on a soft 3M wheel here. Two parts to fitting this. Part number one is to just get the trigger to clearance in the grip. And so I'm gonna probably do this a little bit under magnification. This one I pre-did to speed this up, but it really doesn't take very long. So the only extra tools aside from disassembly that you need are a file, and you call this a medium job and plan on an hour. It probably won't take an hour, but plan on an hour if you've done this kind of work before, messing with your own guns. And one of the things we want to just remind all the newcomers to, and we assume that if you're a Prodigy owner, you're probably relatively new to the double stack 1911s. We love 1911s and we love double stacks even more. But one of the things that very different from the Glock or the SIG world is that you really can't, these are not drop-in parts. Almost everything on these guns is fitted. Even on a Prodigy at that price point has a bunch of parts that are fitted. You know, and the difference between that and an Atlas gun is we do a lot more hand fitting and use a lot more billet parts and more precision parts, blueprinted frames, stuff like that. But they're still hand fitting. It's just part of this 1911 design. And why would you own one? Because the triggers are absolutely phenomenal. So we're going to try, the number one upgrade here is the whole trigger system. So there'll be a couple of these videos, but I would for sure change the ignition system, and then I would do a trigger change, very potentially to change my length of pull. So medium flat trigger here. We're going to go dark here, and I'm going to try to show you under magnification what we would do. But before I get to the magnification part where we do the filing, what your end result should be is that I'm going to just take this trigger off the bow, and it should pass freely. I have it upside down. Orientated correctly, it should pass freely through this grip and all the way through like that, no resistance. And it didn't do that before we filed. So we're gonna flip over to a little bit of magnification. Bear with us while we make that adjustment. All right, we're back. We've got magnification here on our grip. So file, just a small file. We like the good ones. But what we're really looking at here is this top corner. And so if you looked at your factory trigger, it's a little bit rounded, and most of the other triggers that are going to be replacements are going to be square, whether it's ours or somebody else's. So a little bit of filing in this corner here, and a little bit of filing in this top corner here. And then there might, depending on the trigger, be a little bit more in one area or not. Again, we just need the triggers to, and every trigger is dimensionally a little different, 1 thou here or there. So whatever trigger you're fitting to the gun at that moment, you need to have that free clearance. But most of it's going to come right up here, and it's probably 2 minutes or less of filing. It's very quick. Plastic files fast, so take little swipes and then check your clearance. But once we've got the clearance set up, again, the trigger should, see if I can do this upside down. The trigger should sit in here and then basically have no resistance. I'll get back in focus. So my trigger needs to just pass through. And so that little ridge right there is where you're seeing the triggers hang up. And your trigger will be soft. If you haven't filed yet, your trigger will be soft. And then this edge right here will come into this, into where now I've removed the material. But before that, as this comes forward, you'll see it just pull on that. Let's see if I can replicate that right. So right as I come through this area right here. So just clearance those corners, and you should have this part done. And then the trigger moves freely. We'll go back to regular. The second part of this is putting the bow on the shoe, and the bow is going to be just a little bit probably a little bit high in most grips. So the top is these two tabs right here. That's going to need to be up. And so when I put it in, most likely before it's adjusted, your bow right here, this top part, is going to hit and not fit into the channel. It's going to hit the frame. It's going to sit just like it is right now. And I know that's a little bit hard to see, but it's just in this case a little bit high, and I can push it in there. So the whole bow and trigger shoe system needs to be soft like this. And it can't, this top side right here can't be dragging or stopped on that edge. And so the fix for that, and this one's dragging just a tad, but the fix for that is to hold my trigger shoe like this, and I just give it a little tweak down, right? And that's gonna move my, actually probably was going the wrong way there. Yeah, I did, so that stopped. So now this is see a little bit of hang up. So I went this way, which moved my, or I went this way, which moved my deal up, and now I want to go the other way. So I'm actually going to pull from the bottom here, right? And so all I'm doing is changing that angle. Now the angle's pretty severe now. It's probably too much, but we're about to find out. So again, now I'm dragging, but the other way, right? So the trigger doesn't move freely. It stops if I stop pushing on it. So a little bit of adjustment the other way, and boom, now we're free. So you're gonna have to manipulate the bow a little bit for the Prodigies. They have a slightly different angle than most of us are using, but it's quick. And then the last thing, insert your mag catch, and then the little screw, the little Allen screw on the very bottom. The bottom hole here is your adjustment for your over travel. So the top is actually a threaded post. It's actually a screw. If we looked at this one, you can see this has actually got an Allen head socket available to it, but there's nothing to turn. It just happens that they use a screw to weld these on when we make them. But the bottom, that bottom Allen key, that is your adjustment for your over travel. So what happens is as the trigger comes back, that Allen key, the Allen key drives our screw here, and the screw will hit our mag catch. So our mag catch is in the gun, and that screw or the back of the trigger will hit this. Now, if by chance you have the screw all the way forward and you're still not getting enough over travel, you could cut the back of the some guns, and in weird scenarios you'll have to adjust the back of this by taking some material off of the trigger so that it hits. It shouldn't be a thing in a Prodigy, but your over travel is either the trigger or that post hitting your mag catch. Hopefully that's helpful, and we'll see you guys on the range soon. Lots more Prodigy videos to come.